place that light is afraid to touch, where the monsters beneath your bed and hiding behind your fear refuse to travel. Do you dare? Is your mind capable of the sights you will see? Is your body prepared for the sounds you will hear? Is your spirit up to the challenge of what you soon may feel? If so, have a seat with the seductress of the dark, Sarah Terror, the Sultan of Sadism, Chunky Larry, and the Clown Prince of Fear, Arlie Grind. This is the Ghoul Kids Table.
Greetings, fellow Insomniacs. It's your friend in fright, Chunky Larry, and we are here once again for another one of these Ghoul Kids countdowns. Last week on the show, we were talking about the 1987 film The Monster Squad, and Sean wears a shirt in the film that says Stephen King rules, and it's in the spirit of that we are going to be looking at our top 5 Stephen King adaptations. And I'm not doing this alone. I am joined, of course, by everybody's favorite ghoul, Tragic Roar, the smile that goes for miles. How you doing, sweeties?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm a ghoul now. Yay.
Yeah, you've always been a ghoul.
I'm kind of ghoulish, yeah.
Yeah.
I leave my shirt on though, so.
Yeah. And we're off to the races.
Bazinga, here we go.
You literally set me up for that.
I mean, you did give her the Top Gun, like, volleyball, just like, and she just Tom Cruise the shit out of that.
Yeah, does that make me Goose?
You are Goose. You are Goose.
And also with us, the clown who needs no introduction, but I'm gonna do it anyway. He loves to get down. He is Grindy the clown. Mr. Arlie Grind, how you doing, man?
Honk, honk, motherfuckers. I am doing splendidly.
So I'm excited. This is the first countdown episode that we've done with Aurora in the building.
I know.
She was like, fuck that fucking Christmas shit.
Fuck Halloween.
Michael Myers masks, those can eat a dick.
To be fair,
To be fair.
you're not wrong anyway.
But you introduced the king, and she's like, hold up, hold whatever I'm
Hold,
drinking
please.
at the moment. Hold, please. Hold my water. And yeah, we are of course going to be breaking down our top 5 Stephen King adaptations. And I don't know about you guys, but I grew up with Stephen King. Like that was like my horror growth was Stephen King, and it was because my mom read Stephen King and she would get excited about these stories and tell these stories to us. So it was like the history of passing stories along. In the oral traditions, the most oldest format of art is passing along stories and retelling things and giving them life for a different generation. And Stephen King is, to me, one of the greatest storytellers in our fucking existence of history. And that's just my personal opinion. What do you guys feel about Stephen King?
You, Miss Rar.
I've same as these. I grew up with Stephen King, and because a lot of the adaptations were made for movie or made for TV, a lot of these stories can actually be shown to kids of all ages without them getting completely and totally traumatized. Maybe a little bit traumatized. Just But the storytelling itself, one, a lot of my favorites are fantastical. Like there's multiple elements going on. It's not just a ghost story. It's not just a haunted house. It's not just psychic friends in the middle of a cabin, while the military is trying to put people in internment camps. Like, it's just simple, I guess.
The good stuff.
It's good stuff. So to me, that's one of the things that always drew me in about Stephen King, is that it wasn't just one thing. It was always more complex. Now, when I was a kid and I started watching the movies or the adaptations, that actually got me into reading Stephen King. When I was a kid, horror in general was what got me reading more. So seeing these movies, then I was like, I need to read the book. Or seeing stuff like Dracula, Frankenstein, stuff like that. That drove me to read. It was the opposite for me. So I didn't read them and then watch it. I watched it and then read. And I loved all the literary classics when I was a kid too. And some of the coolest stories of all time, of course, they've been adapted for movies. And what better way to get your kid into reading? My son, actually, that was how he started reading more. It wasn't horror related, but it was the Percy Jackson movie. He saw that, got interested. I got him the whole set, and he read through them and absolutely loved them. So sometimes it can have I've heard some people use the argument, oh, if you watch the movie, why would you read the book? That's been the exact opposite in my life. So,
and I think with Stephen King, like, they're both experiences, like reading the book and then seeing the movie. But like, for me, a lot of the Stephen King books, I've gained either a new appreciation or new insight on some of the movies. And I'll just throw out an example: Silver Bullet. When I read Cycle of the Werewolf, I had a much greater appreciation for that movie after reading that book, and both well done. But speaking of reading, you guys remember your first Stephen King book?
Ooh. First one I read, I want to say it was Cycle of the Werewolf. Because it's short,
It's short, yeah.
It's not as threatening as like The Stand.
It's not it, yeah.
Like,
it's a weekend read.
Yeah, you can pick that up and not feel intimidated by it. And the thing I love about Stephen King is the way that he writes in the sense that it's less of like Dean Koontz, he writes at you, and Stephen King, he writes to you. And there's different modes of like transporting your words to somebody, but when you read a Stephen King book, it's like he's talking to you. It's like you're sitting on a porch and he's telling you a scary story. That's what it feels like. And I feel like in certain films they capture that energy, but very few of them do. And in my opinion, the ones that I think do are in my top 5. But I feel like we could probably talk for a really long time about Stephen King, but I kind of want to get into
Let's get to the meat.
Number 5. So, Rar, since it's your first time, why don't you go first? What is your number 5?
Okay, so again, we have a group chat, and I was joking, not joking at all, that I was writing down my top 5, and trying to whittle it down to top 5 was insanely hard, but I think I got it. So coming in at number 5 for me is going to be Rose Red. So this is, if you've known me for a little bit, you follow me, I like ghosty things. I love ghost stories. And Rose Red to me is a beautiful example of storytelling. This is a story. Now the adaptation, it feels like it's dated. Like it feels like it's more dated than what it is because it's more low budget and stuff like that. But to me, it's That kind of stuff doesn't bother me and never has. If you have a great story, you could put cardboard cutouts of things up and you know what? Yep, that's totally a monster. Fine. My favorite thing about Rose Red is, again, well, like, and this is going to be a recurring theme here, is that you have so many elements going on here. So with Rose Red being a story about a house that keeps building based off of the Winchester house in California. It keeps building. There's ghosties, and then there's a group of psychics that go in with people with different psychic abilities, not just one type or the other. That's something that I always truly appreciated about this. You have a ghost writer, you have a telepath, you have like there's all different kinds, and they're trying to, and of course the nutty professor who's trying to prove that there's existence after death. What I love about this movie is that if you enjoyed the movie The Haunting, this story is better, far more superior than that movie. So I'm saying the 99 version with Liam Neeson and Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Listen, you keep talking crap about The Haunting, and I will find you. And I will do things.
Keep talking crap about The Haunting.
Sorry, my little Liam Neeson joke. I will find you.
You need an address, bud, or what do you?
I don't need an address. I've got a certain set of skills.
Yeah, hey Sarah, where do you live?
Text message. It immediately comes. It's been saved in my fucking, like, I've just been waiting to hit send.
Anyway, I don't know. What do you guys think of Rose Red?
So, Rose Red was not like anywhere in my top 10, but I remember thinking that it was a decent ghost story, but it just didn't capture my imagination like it did.
To me, this was fun. This was a fun one. Like, if you have 4 hours to kill,
yeah,
this is a perfect ghosty story for you to just kind of veg to. And like we were discussing last week with the Monster Squad, sometimes it doesn't have to be this big epic thing that's it. And that's why I like a lot of the miniseries and the made for TV adaptations, is because how long they are.
Yeah. So you can kind of live with the characters.
Well, yeah, and it's not like we lived through the time where these things were aired on TV and had to wait the next week for the next part and all that kind of stuff. A lot of the made for TV adaptations are perfect for like that cold, snowy day, or a day that you have nothing going on and you're just like, you know what? I just need a good flick to kind of just entertain me. So Rose Red is up there for me.
Back in my day, we didn't have streaming services. We had to wait through commercials. Wait till the next week.
We would record on our VCR, and we loved it.
Yes,
we had to hit stop when it was recording right as the commercial break was happening.
You had to hit play and record at the same time.
Scandalous.
Harley, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is Silver Bullet. And I just, Cycle of the Werewolf is fantastic, but I love this movie so fucking much. It's just a fun movie. And like you said, Stephen King kind of comes off as a storyteller. That's how this movie is. It's the sister telling the story of Uncle Red and her brother and this creature werewolf. And anytime you can take religious iconography and kind of show it for what it really is, I'm always down for that.
I wanted Gary Busey to be my uncle so bad.
Oh yeah, everyone. I think everyone wanted an Uncle Red. say.
He just seemed cool as shit. Yeah, I got
Oh,
you
yeah.
some fucking fireworks. Don't worry about it. You little crip kid. Here,
You
shoot
call
these
it.
off.
You call him up, and he's got some like random lady in his room. He's like, oh, hold on, kid. Whoa, hey, babe, hold up. It's my nephew. I gotta take this.
What? You need me to make you silver bullets? Yeah, no
You got
problem.
Yeah, you got it.
I got you. I got you.
No biggie. Whatever you say. Okay, my number 5 is Graveyard Shift. This is honestly probably one of Stephen King's scariest short stories. It's fucking dark, and not just in setting, but like the energy to it just feels, it like has a dark feeling to it, and I feel like this movie really captured that. And the Brad Dourif performance is next fucking level. Him as the fucking pest inspector who's just like, oh god, I gotta kill these fucking rats. So goddamn bad.
And he had that dog.
Yeah.
And he'd like sit there like pour out booze for the dog. I loved it.
And the thing about Brad Dourif is he always cries in everything he does. So he's just like, tears running down my eyes talking about killing these rats so bad. I got such a hard on to kill these rats.
And you know what's crazy? It's the way that movie and that book is set up. I have a feeling that some of our East Coasters, especially in the West Virginia area, like this is how they grew up.
Yeah.
This is how you grew up in the 80s and early 90s. And you grew up in these small towns, and you really captured a mentality.
That's one of my favorite fucking Stephen King movies ever. And it was between that and The Dark Half for number 5 for me. And that one edged it out just because it's just so fucking like weird. And all of the performances are great, but that Brad Dourif is just, that's next level for me. Let's get into number 4. Arlie, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Sometimes They Come Back.
Ooh.
I know.
Ooh.
So speaking of ghosties, I'm a big fan of ghosties too. And this is such a dark, twisted tale of revenge and revenge coming back from the grave. And let's talk about that car for a second. Yeah.
That actually now lines up completely. You fucking Mopar.
Sorry, Delilah. But yeah. Sometimes they come back, and really, it's also this tale of madness as this guy is saying, "Hey, something real is going on, and I'm not doing," like he's being eyed for running a kid down, and like he's getting set up for all this stuff, and you kind of descend into madness with him, and just great performances. And after you watch Animal House, and then you jump to Sometimes They Come Back, and you're like, wow, he's actually got some versatility as an actor.
Sometimes They Come Back is in my honorable mentions. So I have a whole list in front of me.
That's directed by Tom McLaughlin, who did Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. He's a cool-ass fucking dude. He also did One Dark Night, which if you haven't seen, fucking see One Dark Night. It's a great fucking movie. Neither here nor there. Sarah, what is your number 4?
So, again, this was hard. This was a hard one to do, but number 4 is going to Stand By Me. Fucking great movie. To me, that movie captures that perfect right before going to high school type, hanging with your buddies and what are you doing? You're going on an adventure, you're lying to your parents about where the hell you are. But that element of danger and mystery because they're going to find a dead body. I don't know about you guys, but I I never did that as a kid. I wasn't out seeking like dead bodies. Maybe I should have been. I don't know. I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did. But
Dang it.
I absolutely adore the cast of this movie. I think everyone in this movie just hit the nail on the head for not only their characters but the time period, and it just this one's always a favorite of mine.
Love that Kiefer Sutherland. Oh, he's so good, that movie.
He's so good.
Fucking good, that movie.
So fucking greasy and slick, and
Yeah.
just
But like, we were talking about this in the Monster Squad, but the fucking friend dynamic in that movie with the kids and the kids not being annoying and like all of the fucking marks of a fucking quality movie that you could just put on, and you see that there's an arc for each one of the boys, and that's rare. Usually it's like, you know, the main character and then these other fucks are just kind of fucking about, and they'll maybe write one or two funny moments for them. But in this one, it's like we all have a fucking story, and I love that shit. My
Your number
number four is the film Gerald's Game. Love this
Wow.
movie.
it was so good.
Wow.
I look again, honorable mentions. Gerald's Game.
Oh, dude, I fucking adore this movie. This is, it feels like the book. Like, the feeling that I had while reading Gerald's Game, as opposed to the feeling that I had while watching Gerald's Game, right on fucking par. And I think that it's one of the more accurate portrayals of a story, while obviously having to leave certain things on the cutting room floor for the sake of time. It is just Carla Gugino, I think that's how you pronounce her name. Terrific. Terrific. And the strength of that is just, you know, somebody that's a strong performer and actor, and that's the kind of shit that I fucking live for. So yeah,
I'm a big
Gerald's
fan of any movie where you're talking to yourself.
Game. Yeah,
Self is talking to self, and you're trying to get like that. I absolutely loved that movie. I thought it was so well done.
and the director of that is actually going to be working on the Dark Tower series for Amazon Prime.
Ooh, well, I hope it's a little better than what
Then the
was teased with-
Gunslinger. Or was it called just the Dark Tower?
I think it
It's
was
called
just
The Dark Tower.
Oh,
Yeah.
fucking! Didn't even watch it. I was like, nope, no thanks.
Okay.
I'm all set.
I watched it. It's not horrible, but you can tell that they didn't just trim the fat, they trimmed all the meat off that story and just
Yeah.
tried to put something out. And
Yeah, no thanks. I was A-okay when they were like, yeah, we're just gonna compress one of the greatest stories of all time into
Yeah.
one movie. Like, what are you fucking doing?
horrible. What's your number 3, Larry?
My number 3 is the 1990 miniseries It. Is one of my all-time favorite books, and the adaptation of that is just, it's perfect, dude. Like, it
Two words. Tim Curry.
Tim Curry, but the fucking, again, the dynamic, very much like Stand By Me, of those kids is the strength of that fucking movie.
I think Stephen King writes kids so insanely well. I can't think of another author that does that. Like the kids' characters,
Yeah.
honestly.
And I really related to the Ben Hanscom character. when I was a young boy, to the point that my second son's name is Ember from the poem in the book. Your hair is winter fire, January embers, my heart burns there too. Like, that fucking story is perfect. And to me, the translation of it, John Ritter as young Ben Hanscom, fucking, what's his fuck? Why am I blanking on his name? From fucking Night Court.
Oh, Harry.
Harry Anderson? No. What's his name?
Yeah, Harry Anderson played
Yeah.
not Ben Hanscom. He played
Richie.
Richie. Yeah, he played
Yeah.
Richie. Yeah.
And then what's his
John Boy.
Yeah, John Boy. Thank you. Like,
I don't know his name. That's all I know about is John Boy.
but like, I love the adult fucking dynamic as well as the youth, and them trying to make them have kind of the same mannerisms and shit like that. Just all of that stuff works to me. It's terrifying. It's, it makes you happy, and it really works.
Richard Thomas is John Boy.
John Boy's Richard Thomas. Thank you, IMDb.
We didn't care. I know. I'm just
and Brandon Crane played young Ben Hanscom.
Yes. I'm friends with Brandon Crane on Instagram. we're like this.
Mutual.
We're like this. It means it's a lot. Neither here nor there. Sarah, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is going to The Green Mile. I love the book, but the movie has some of the most terrific acting I've ever seen. When that came out, I watched it every day for 2-3 weeks. I loved it that much. I laughed through it. I cried through it. I bawled through it. To me, that is just one. Not only is that in my top 5 for Stephen King, that's in my top 5 for all time. It's one of my favorites.
That's phenomenal cast. Doug Hutchinson as Percy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know why that character sticks out to me more than anything.
He's that perfect dick. Like,
Oh
he's the
my God.
perfect entitled dick.
Oh, fuck that dude.
And Delacroix is my favorite character. The Del with his circus mouse, Mr. Jangles. I love it so much.
I'm there for fucking Tom Hanks pissing. Hashtag Tom Hanks pissing.
Hashtag ooh. What? I've had stones before. Yeah, it sucks.
Arlie, what is your number 3?
My number 3. We keep doing this, and I'm just convinced that great minds think alike. 1990s hit.
Nice.
Yeah. And I'm the clown. So of course this is gonna be my top 5. But Tim Curry, amazing, phenomenal, terrifying performance in that film. I actually I sat on the stairs while my mom watched it because I wasn't allowed to watch it, and I watched the miniseries with her, but not with her. And I had nightmares for months.
Same.
And if you're a movie that can do that to me, because there's nothing truly horrifying in that, as far as like gore or excessive violence or anything like it.
He's got fangs at certain points.
Yeah.
And the weird hand.
But all of it was just so fucking scary as a kid, and now it's like one of my comfort films because his performance is just phenomenal. And we touched on the kids and their dynamic throughout the whole thing. And again, this was one of those rare moments. Can we call it really cinematic history? Because it was miniseries, whatever the vernacular is, where you have great direction, great acting, great everything that come together to tell a truly terrifying, timeless tale.
Directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, who did Halloween 3.
Just saying. Just saying.
So, yeah.
Just saying.
Oh, what is that?
Oh.
Somebody was loved this year. Okay. Sarah, what is your number 2?
Does it matter? Okay. All right. My number 2 is going to Pet Sematary. That movie terrifies me to this day. Like, I don't care how many times I watch it, I still cry. Especially after becoming a parent. I cry my eyes out for poor little Gage. But again, like I don't even know how to, like, if you don't know Pet Sematary, like, I don't know how to explain it to you other than, do you like zombie children?
Herman Munster.
Herman Munster.
Sometimes that is better.
I'm going to go ahead and say this to the world too. I did not watch the remake. I'm not going to watch the remake.
Yeah,
I have no
need for it.
I have no need to. So it made up my mind on that. One of my favorite things about this movie is the desperation that you see in Lewis when, there is a possibility to bring my child back. I thought he was phenomenal through the whole movie. No matter what scene he was in, I thought he was perfection. And I don't know about you guys, but there are quotes from that movie that just get sprinkled around my house every once in a while, like,
no fair,
dead is better, no fair.
In what context do you?
Doesn't matter.
Sometimes dead is better.
Hey, Mom, I'm back from school. Sometimes dead is better.
No, boy comes to me with a weird body problem. I'm like, sometimes dead is better. Like,
God.
He does this weird shit where, like, he's got to announce every time, like, my skin feels weird in this 1-inch area on my arm. Is that normal? No, it's not. It means you're dying. So,
boy, sometimes dead is better.
Another one is it's sour. The ground is sour. Like, I love that movie so much.
I get to see him, and you're like, get outside, get some fresh air. No, Mom, the ground is sour.
I guarantee he has said that to me in that context.
Love it.
My number 2 is The Stand. This is, in my opinion, of all of the miniseries, the best miniseries that they've done. Just across the board, everybody in this fucking movie kills it. Like, I never liked Rob Lowe in anything other than The Stand. Never.
Not even in, like, Parks and Rec?
No. I just,
wow.
no.
I like them in that.
I'm not a fan of that kind of comedy.
Oh.
We looked at the camera. Is this now suddenly funnier?
Hold on, Aubrey Plaza is amazing in that show.
Aubrey Plaza is just funny though, so that's the difference. It's like, yeah, you put a funny person there, yeah, of course it's going to be funny. But anyway, this isn't the Parks and Rec discussion. This is The Stand, and again, one of King's best fucking works, and a really solid adaptation of this fucking story. They really gave it the time. This was directed by Mick Garris, who is, in my opinion, one of the better directors of Stephen King's work. He really gets his work, and it shows in his films that he's done. That's just my opinion. But yeah, The Stand.
Stand is amazing. Like, did you happen to see the
No,
remake of
no.
that? Don't.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Just don't.
Don't.
I did. I
Oh.
regret it.
I turned it
Don't.
off. I turned it off.
No,
Yeah.
The Randall Flagg in the Stand, just terrific. Isn't that the dad from Seventh Heaven? Am I wrong?
Oh, I gotta look it up now.
He's in
I'm
something,
thinking.
and I think it's that, but he's so fucking the devil to me that it's like,
It's so good. And Nadine, like,
yeah,
everything
yeah.
about, I loved everything about that. So whenever I watched the remake of it, that's actually one that I wouldn't have mind if they gave it a solid reboot.
Mhm.
And then we got a reboot, and I was like, I take it back. I didn't mean what I said.
Yeah.
I didn't mean it at all.
Take it back.
And Trash Can Man.
Trash can again.
Bada boom.
Bumpity bump. Like, my favorite thing ever is just randomly around the house you'll hear "My Life for You."
Yes, my life for you.
So Randall Flagg was
It's like Jamie
by-
something.
Jamie Sheridan, and
Also,
Oh.
Lieutenant Dan before he was Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah, Gary Sinise.
Gary Sinise was
he had both his
fantastic.
legs.
And he
Yeah.
had both of his legs. Very proud. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice. Hold on, I'm trying to find.
Hashtag he's got legs.
So I remember, so he popped up in Homeland, which I watched and was very impressed with. What was he in? You said Seventh Heaven?
I think so.
I'm
he's
looking.
in Seventh Heaven.
He was in one episode of Veronica's Closet, whatever the fuck that is.
Is that the fucking what's her name? Just died from Cheers.
Oh, Christy Alley.
Christy Alley. I think that's her show.
Oh.
Veronica's Closet. Doesn't fucking matter. Let's move on. What's your number 2?
Oh, to no surprise to anyone, my number 2 is John Carpenter's Christine.
Ooh.
And I know Mr. Green tried to remake it this year and failed miserably, but I love Christine. Because I was Mr. Cunningham in high school. There's a lot, like, even though there's a good 10-year difference between when that movie came out and when I went to high school and everything else, like I remember feeling like that. And I remember my first car.
Being a nerd until you get a car.
Exactly.
Suddenly cool.
And my first car, I actually named Christine. It wasn't as cool. It was the 1985 Monte Carlo, not the Super Sport, but just the coupe edition. It was my boat, but that was Christine. I had a tape player, and I used to play like old 50s, 60s music in it. But no, I love Christine. It's a fantastic movie. And in my opinion, one of John Carpenter's better movies.
Show me. Love the relationship with him in that car.
Right.
I love that movie.
Right. And just imagine being the shit end of the stick in life to everybody. And even though you have a friend that's looking out for you, like, he's the complete opposite of everything that you want, or the complete opposite of what you have and what you are. And then you have this car that just makes everything possible. Get you the girl.
A car that makes everything possible, and then that change afterwards. So what do you become once you start like winning? And it's an interesting take on what happens when you do get what you want.
An obsession.
Mm-hmm.
Like he becomes obsessed with the car and repairing it, and like then it becomes part of him and he becomes part of it, and it's creepy. Especially when at first the car is driving on its own, but then you realize he's in the car and he's along for the ride. It's just uh, fucking phenomenal. Did we get your number two? It was Pet Cemetery, right?
What's your number two?
Mine was The Stand.
Mm-hmm.
So we're up to number one.
Oh, we're at number
We're
one.
here. We're here, you
Do we
guys.
have a drum roll? What do we do?
Ooh.
Oh, are we gonna do? We're gonna get to that close up. Get close. It looks like I'm about to kiss you all.
This just tickles me.
Who wants to go first for number one?
I say ladies first.
Okay.
I'll go first. So this has already gotten onto everybody's list, but it should be no surprise to you two. But my number one is going to It. It is the 1990 It. That is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. It's one of my favorite miniseries of all time. It's one of my favorite Tim Curry movies of all time. Everything about it. And to me, that is one that you had to see it at that time. And they tried, I think, with the remake.
You're telling me you did not enjoy It Chapter 2. Come on.
I hated every goddamn second of it, and I'm not gonna apologize for that. So
I still haven't been able to watch all of It Chapter 2.
I can't. I've watched it several times, and I hate it even more every time, and it drives me nuts.
But it's baby potato spider clown.
As far as I got was the scene in the Chinese restaurant. That was as far as I got.
And they even screwed that up.
Oh yeah, they fucked that up. Yeah, so bad.
Like that was laughable. So to me, like a lifelong horror fan, it was just laughable at that point, and not in the fun Tim Curry way. So you guys have touched on it when talking about it in your top fives, but this one was, not only did you have the Band of Seven and the Losers Club, and these kids, they all felt like they were probably friends forever after this, and it didn't feel like acting at all. It felt like these were just kids getting together. And the fact that we have two parts and we get to see the adult version later, the adults were phenomenal, just like the kids were. And Tim Curry, this is one of Tim Curry's iconic roles. He doesn't do much but scare the living bejesus out of people, but I think you have to use your imagination so much more, because you only get like some fangs every once in a while. You don't get Georgie's arm being ripped off and a child being dragged down the street, or so I think this one is always going to be one of my favorites. And just a side note to the remake as well, it's absolutely upsetty that they did not ask Seth Green to come back as the adult to play Richie when the timeline would have actually fucking lined up with 1990. Anyway,
they did get Brandon Crane to appear in It Chapter 2. He worked.
But all right, I'm done. I'm sorry. I'm off my soapbox now.
This has been Sarah's soapbox. I think I just gave her an idea.
You guys have to live with it.
Are we going with my number one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, listeners, audience, Larry, Sarah. My number one is Stand By Me, because it is a timeless tale, and I know we've already kind of touched on this, but it is such a phenomenal movie, and it's a coming of age story, and I think each of us has our own version of Stand By Me. Like I had those friends and that we just kind of lost contact with. There was I had a friend whose brother was fucking eyeball. Like it was like so fucking crazy. But and my parents, as long as I wasn't in the house and I went on adventures. Like I grew up in the Midwest. There's train tracks everywhere. You know, we followed train tracks, went down to the river. Like we did all this stuff. Never got caught on a trestle though, because I'm not a fucking idiot. Uh, and I never buried a jar of pennies. But I will say,
Verno.
cherry flavored Pez is the best Pez flavor ever. Cherry flavored Pez.
False, it's grape, but okay.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh, well. Editor,
Is this
To,
gonna
to
be
the
a-
Tickum Talks.
Is
To
this
the
gonna be a
Tickum
pickle
Talks.
butt
Let's
thing?
let's start a fight.
We went from pickle butts to Pez.
Candy corn, pickle butts, and Pez. My number one is the Brian De Palma film Carrie. It's, to me, just it's a perfect movie. This is one of the few films that I do rate 5 stars, or Ghoulies, or fucking Reapers, or anything. It is 5 out of 5 in my opinion. The performance of Sissy Spacek is fucking phenomenal, and just the way that movie is shot, the the characters in this, like Nancy Allen is fucking tremendous in this fucking movie, and there's so much about this movie that is like what movie like filmmakers should aspire to make, because it really captures the raw feelings of being a teenager, and in a timeless ass way. Like, this doesn't feel dated. You know, the prom shit feels a little dated, but the overall emotions that are conveyed throughout the film, and the dealing with, you know, your parents and religion, and these things that are kind of forced upon you, um all of that just rings true. And her just desire to want to be accepted, and when she feels like she is, then she's immediately taken advantage of, and she like lashes out at that. Like, you look at, like, you know, this fucking ugly trend of like school shooters and shit. This is the template of that. That's what, like, it parallels so well with so many fucking things, and it really does talk about, you know, the ugliness of youth, and it's like you're trying to figure things out, and you've got this history behind everything. So it's, are you making the decisions, or are the decisions being made for you? Just that tying back to religion, it's a fucking perfect fucking movie to me. And yeah, I love everything about that movie, and it's one of my favorite fucking movies of all time. Not just because it's a Stephen King movie. I fucking adore that goddamn movie.
I'll agree with Larry on this one. That Carrie is a 5 out of 5 for me too.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
And what I love about Carrie too is that that one perfectly, you pointed out how it felt to be a high schooler, and because that feeling doesn't change throughout the ages. Yeah, technology may change, culture stuff may change, but that 4 years is so impactful, and everyone seems to have the same experiences no matter what generation you're a part of. So that's why teen movies continue to have an audience, and you can, I'll say it, Carrie's actually one of the most ultimate teen movies of all time. So
To me, it's just a perfect fucking movie, and it's one I could put on at any time of the day, and I would be just wrapped in what's going on. I can't say that about most of the films that I watch. I have to be in a headspace to watch a lot of the shit that I watch. And with Carrie, I could I could be happy, I could be sad, and I could put that fucking movie on, and it fucking works. But that is our top 5, you guys. We have made it to the end. We have ranked Stephen King's films adaptations, and not one person mentioned Maximum Overdrive, so I feel good about this.
I was so going to do it. Just fucking do it. I should have done it. God damn.
This one was a hard one. I have Carrie, Cujo, Gerald's Game, Dead Zone, Needful Things, and Silver Bullet all in those were all competing with each other, and that one oh god, it sucked.
Am I the only one with Salem's Lot?
No, Salem's Lot was up there for me too.
Yeah. It's got some truly creepy movement.
Yeah, it's just fantastic.
The
really
boy
is.
floating in the window.
Yes.
Yes.
Look at me. Oh my god. There's
So no, but this was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. But I just I think that the interesting thing about this list is that every single one of our lists, with the exception of it, there was no real run over. And that's a testament to the work of Stephen King. And, we're going to get out of here, but you can find out more about us in a couple of different ways. You can start by liking us on Facebook, facebook.com/GhoulKidsTable, following us on Twitter @GhoulKidsTable, Instagram @GKTPodcast, and on the TickleMyPeens @Ghoul_Kids_Table. Arlie, where can they find you?
You can find me on Facebook, Top Shelf 4. I am not going to forget it this time. You can find me on Twitter, Arlie TSH. You can find me on Instagram, Top Shelf 4. You can find me on TikTok, Arlie Grind, or Top Shelf. If you like booze, Top Shelf.
And if you like fun times, you should follow our friend Sarah. Where can they find you?
You can find me on the TickleMyPeens @TragicRar.
That's RAWR.
There it is.
There it is.
I
was waiting for it for the last episode. Actually.
Oh god, yeah. Sorry.
I love your spelling bee stuff. It's fantastic.
Well, I don't want someone to look for you and be like, how do you spell roar?
RARR?
Like everyone's got a different way they spell R. Rar.
Mine's the only correct way, so
that's right.
That.
But that is going to do it for us, you guys.
Mary, where can we find you?
Creature Pod everywhere except for Tickle Talks. There you can find me as Creature Backup because penises are amazing.
Hashtag TikTok hates the peen.
Hashtag FreeThePeen.
Hashtag PeenOnTickleTok.
Hashtag TickleMyPeen. But that is going to do it for us, you guys. So for Arlie Grind, for Tragic Rare, and for myself, again, my name is Chunky. This has been another episode of the Ghoul Kids Countdown on all of the podcast platforms and YouTube. You're always welcome with us at the table, but you gotta do a little thing for me.
We need a dance.
You gotta tell me what your favorite Stephen King movies are.
Me, just bring me
an interpretive dance.
Your favorite Stephen King movies. I'm a clown.
Just bring me candy corn and oh my god, I'm like a little getting hard up for that shit.
Take out the egg.